Hi, this is Keiko from Brooklyn Shoe Space. How's everybody? Now Wednesday midday. Thanks for taking the time to join us. Today I am inviting Pierce. Pierce, I think you call his last name. I actually don't know how to pronounce his last name. I think it's Pierce Lopatic from LA. He is a shoe designer out there. I wanted to see, he's already on, so I am going to just invite him and ask all the questions. Hey, thanks for joining Skating Boots, Harlech Skating Boots. All right, okay, how do hold on. I need to add, yes, and hey.
Hey Kiko,
How are you?
I'm good. Just trying to figure out this
The positioning.
phone lineup. Yeah.
Yeah.
How are you
Thanks
doing?
for good. Thanks for joining me midday. I know you're working and
Yeah,
all
no.
that, so thanks
I
for
mean
taking it.
it's right at noon. It's my lunch break, so it's kind of perfect timing.
Oh, perfect. Good, good, good. So tell us how you've been doing. I saw some creations during pandemic,
Yep.
but what are you up to? What are you creating? Let's just dive a little bit. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So my main thing right now is I'm design director for a brand called New Republic. So we are doing men's and women's casual footwear, really clean, classic,
Mm-hmm.
effortless style. So we have Chelsea boots, sneakers, dress boots, loafers,
Wow.
a whole lot of different styles.
Yeah.
So that's my main thing right now. I'm doing some clothing sort of
Oh,
upcycling through
okay.
my girlfriend's upcycling studio called Other Live Studio.
Other live? Uh-huh.
Yeah, super cool. So, make sure to plug them as well. But,
Yeah.
that's kind of opened me up to working on clothing a bit as well. And, as far as shoes, I mean, I'm always like sketching and coming up with ideas and things like that. I haven't been
Yeah.
able to make too many shoes during the pandemic just because it's been a little harder to get to workspaces and
Right.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, expect to see more of that in the future for sure.
Yeah, cool, cool. How did you get into shoemaking?
Making in particular, so I mean, I got into shoes through, well, aside from, just personally loving shoes, I got into shoe design first. And
Mm-hmm.
then when I started working with Dom, the shoe surgeon, that's what really opened my mind up to actually making shoes myself. And that's
Yeah.
where I learned how to do everything.
When was
Um,
that? Like when about? Like
that was, I joined his team in
2018,
2017, like
17.
like towards the end of the year
Uh-huh.
that year.
Yeah. And then you just designed a lot with him, or were you more helping him hands-on?
It was like a little bit of everything. So he brought me on as his designer.
Mm-hmm.
So before that he had a really small team. He had one guy
Yeah.
doing uh, media design
Yeah.
and God knows what else, like everything.
Everything. Yeah.
So when he was expanding the team, he brought me on as a designer, and at first it was design like the way you think of it, sketching,
Yeah.
Illustrator,
Yeah.
CADs, things like that. But then
Mm-hmm.
that really expanded into being a lot more involved with production and sourcing and then managing, excuse me, managing a small design team and kind
Uh-huh.
of overseeing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, it was a little bit of everything over there. And then after hours, they would open up the studio to the team to just kind of like make whatever we wanted. So that's where I really got my hands
Hands
on to
dirty.
shoemaking and like really learning everything
Oh,
from like
cool.
patterning to sewing, cutting, gluing,
Wow.
stitching,
Yeah.
lasting, so
Uh-huh.
on, like everything.
Wow. And were you always also customizing it? Like, I feel like you were kind of doing that and then for a while, but is that also after Dom's space or at the Dom space you got to
Yeah,
do a little more like
I think
restoring and remixing?
the majority of that has been done at Dom Space. So
Hmm.
before I joined the shoe surgeon team, I was really just designing. I was sketching,
Yeah.
creating tech packs,
Yeah.
that like the more traditional, like when
Yeah.
you hear of a footwear designer, what they do for
Yeah.
their job. It was
Yeah.
really just a lot of that.
Yeah.
And then working with Dom is what got me into
Into the making.
exactly, yeah. So before that, there wasn't really, I don't think I had made any shoes before working with
Hmm.
Dom at all, personally by hand.
Right. But
Yeah.
then how did you get into shoe designing? Like, where, did you go specifically for school for that, or were you in industrial design, or what's your background?
So, I mean, it kind of goes really far back, but when I was a little
Yeah.
kid,
Yeah.
I always loved shoes. Like I could care less what I was wearing,
Uh-huh.
as a shirt or pants or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I had to have shoes I liked. So,
Yeah.
I would wear like hand-me-down t-shirts from the kids across the street,
Yeah.
but my shoes like had to be something I liked. So
Yeah.
even when my parents would only take me to Payless,
Yeah.
for example, because they didn't want to spend more than $30 on a pair of
Yeah.
shoes, I
Yeah.
had to pick something I really liked.
Yeah.
So it really started then, and then my eye for design came through. Um, I mean, it came through video games originally.
Oh.
So I really loved playing video games, and I really loved the worlds that they created, and not just like video games themselves, but the consoles. So I would
Yeah.
draw, when Sega Dreamcast came out, I was like so fascinated by,
Yeah.
the circular part where you put the CD-ROM and then like,
Yeah.
the shapes around that. So I would draw like my own video game consoles.
Ooh.
And then that evolved into like cars and, skateboard graphics. And then
Uh-huh.
when it got to shoes, I just kind of stuck with drawing shoes. And that was when I
Oh.
was about 11 or 12. Um,
Wow.
so I've been drawing shoes ever since then. And then when it came to picking a career path,
Yeah.
I just wanted to do shoe design. So I found a school in Los Angeles called FITM, Fashion
Yeah.
Institute of
Yeah.
Design and Merchandising, and they had a
Yeah.
footwear program. So I moved out here and went to school there. Ended up not taking the footwear program, but I still,
What?
found my way into it.
Yeah. What? So you wanted to go to the footwear program, but you didn't take it because it wasn't.
It wasn't like I couldn't go straight into footwear design. I had to
Oh.
do one of their 2-year programs first, which was, like all apparel based, basically. It was either apparel, interior design, graphic design, or I think that was it. I might be missing. Oh, there was like visual merchandising too,
Visual
which was like,
merchandise. Right.
a lot of visual things like at retail
Yeah.
and
What
that.
did you end up doing? Industrial design or graphic design? Doing
And I missed what?
what? Did
Sorry, I
you
missed
end
the
up
question
doing
because someone tried to call
did,
me.
did you end up doing graphic design or did you end up doing industrial design or fashion
I did a
design?
major called product development. It was like somewhere between fashion design and like technical design.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into like, these grandeur sketches and like full collections and like what you'd typically think of. Looking back, I probably should have done that. But um, when I was, going into school, I was very naive and I just thought the way they explained this major was like it's half design and half like technical development, things like that. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, oh, that sounds cool because
That's
I love like a
yeah.
balance of different things.
Yeah.
So I just kind of went into that. And then from there, you could take the footwear program after that. So I
Oh.
did the 2-year program. By the end of it, I was like, I don't want to like take out more student loans. I don't want to go to school. Like I was over school. I was just like, let me just take my chances and see if I can get an
Yeah.
internship.
Yeah.
So that's really, the path I took. And I was lucky that I was able to get one not too long after I graduated. So
Wow. And that was with
that was with Creative Recreation.
creative recreation. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So that was the first footwear opportunity I'd had.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then from there, you just kept on working in footwear?
Yeah. So I was at Creative Rec for about 5 years. I
Uh-huh.
worked my way up from design intern, and then I became a developer
Uh-huh.
for about a year and a half, and then I moved back into design, and then I was a footwear designer there for, I guess, the remaining 3 years that I was there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then after Creative Rec was when I joined Dominic's team.
Dom. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you like the development part? Do you like the product development part?
I do. I mean, it's very tedious work
Yeah.
having to do all the red lines and having to answer all those emails about how
Yeah.
exactly to do every little thing. But
Yeah.
I do enjoy it. But I am kind of at this point where, I'm more interested in the design and like
Designing
conceptualizing,
concept. Hmm.
yeah, the direction of like the whole collection and color
Yeah.
palettes and all of that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
So that's all really, it's hard to do all of that at the
Oh, yeah.
same time,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think I'm at a point where I want to go more into the,
Designing.
yeah, design, like creative direction space. I mean, I'm already designing a ton,
Yeah,
um, but more in the creative direction
creative
space.
direction.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, cool. Yeah, everybody's like, he's very talented.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I love his work. Yeah, cool, cool. Well, so how did you adjust your work to accommodate for COVID? Like, did you work from home the whole time or?
Yeah, so the team I'm with now at New Republic is pretty small, and we were
Okay.
even smaller when the pandemic started. It was just four of us.
Oh, okay.
So it was, where I think a lot of people were like working from home and had like, I guess, I mean, I don't know. I just heard that some people just had it easier, like less responsibility because
Right,
either they were getting less business or,
right.
whatever the case may be. For us, it was the opposite. So
Oh,
we had like a whole thing at our warehouse where when the pandemic started, a lot of the workers weren't showing up. So we went to the warehouse and we're packing and shipping orders ourselves just to make
wow.
sure that our customers got everything.
Yeah.
And then, we did that for a few months, like a few days a week. And then after a few months, we started going back into the office again at like extremely limited capacity,
Yeah.
and just working out of there.
You guys are
Um,
kind of like a little pod in a way because it was four
yeah,
people. You
exactly.
could kind of do that, but you kind of have
Yeah,
to like
yeah,
have a
yeah.
pact of like you can't party, but
Yeah, that was how it was, and we were really careful and really safe the whole time.
hmm.
And when things started getting worse in the winter, that's like I just worked from home for a while. But I mean,
Right.
my day-to-day job didn't really change. If anything, it expanded because while some brands I think were, I guess, retracting a little because of the
Right.
pandemic, we were like trying to see like what opportunities there were and how we could keep going and not fall behind. So
Yeah.
the work, we got even more involved with all the work.
Right. And more like direct to customers.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Right. Because you don't have, do you have a brick and mortar as well?
We don't. It's something that we were thinking about, early 2020, but then when the pandemic hit, it stopped making sense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think in the future when things start to open up and
Yeah.
people are going places and shopping more, that will probably come up again. But for now,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
all online.
Right. And for you, like, tell us about like a little bit of your design process. Do you sketch always first? Do you go hands-on, look for lasts first? Draw
For,
on the last?
yeah, for me, it's always different. It depends on the project. So
Mm,
I think my typical process is, gathering inspiration and references and that kind of thing,
mm-hmm.
and then sketching, and then presenting the sketches to the team, moving forward like with narrowed down concepts, rendering,
Yeah.
final approvals, tech packs, and then development.
Uh-huh.
But for some of my personal projects, I've done a lot of like drawing, like for some of my upcycling projects, taping up the shoes and drawing on them to
Yeah.
create patterns,
Yeah.
and then making by hand. And then I mean sometimes it's just I have an idea and I just sketch it and show the team, and it's like, let's move forward with that. So it's always different.
Mm-hmm.
There is like a typical formula that can be followed, but I think that you can't always do it that way.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of always different for me.
Yeah.
Like I
Oh,
might get
cool.
inspired by like an album I'm listening to, or
Right.
you know,
Oh,
or architecture or something else, and then that like
right.
leads
Right.
into sketching, or even just like making something or taping up a shoe and drawing on it.
Yeah. Yeah. What if you can't make, say, you have all this inspiration? What if you can't put it into your um, collection? Do you make something separately and just kind of get it out of your mind? Like,
I think it depends what it is. So there are some
mm,
ideas where and I mean it's very different. Like, for for New Republic, it's a very specific brand.
yeah,
It's a certain style,
yeah,
and I'm adding to that, to what's
yeah,
already there,
yeah,
in a way that it's still palatable for our customer,
right,
but also pushing the brand forward.
yeah, yeah,
So, there are other ideas I have where, I'll just sketch them. and
Yeah.
maybe that could become something someday. But sometimes it's just I just sketch it. It's really just like exercise. Like
Mm.
if you aren't putting your ideas at least on paper, I find that when I'm doing that, like if I have an idea and I don't put it on paper, and I keep doing that, I'll have less and less ideas. But if I
Mm.
have an idea and I write it down or draw it, even if it's rough and crappy, like I'll have more and more and more and more ideas as I
Oh,
continue to do that. So sometimes it's not about like, oh, this idea has to become a real thing. It's just
right.
like I have to get this idea down to keep the well flowing, you
Right.
know?
Oh, cool, cool.
So I kind of approach it that way.
Yeah, so sketching is like basically totally like your tool. Like you just do this
Yeah, yeah.
almost every day or every day probably.
Yeah, probably. I mean, there are days where I don't because it's like
Yeah.
all emails someday or something,
Right.
But
Right, right.
yeah.
I always ask makers like what kind of tool do you like and like what's the most important tool in your line of business? Like what would you say? Would you do say
For
like
me, it's this thing right here. It's my iPad. So I
iPad?
sketch on this all the time.
Okay, do you use like the stylus or the pencil thing?
Yeah, the Apple. Yep,
Apple
got the Apple
Pencil?
Pencil.
Do you use that app? What's it, Procreate, or do you use like Adobe stuff?
I use Adobe just because for me, like I love Procreate and you can do a lot more with it, but uh, I'm more into like efficiency throughout the process. So I can still create a rendering I really like in Adobe Fresco, and then it just automatically can go into Photoshop and Illustrator and
Oh,
all that. So it just makes the process easier for me.
easy for later on. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. So
I
I
see.
just use the Adobe ones.
Okay. Oh, cool. I see some shoe creations and like lasts and stuff in the background. What are those?
Yeah, so I guess let me grab this phone and come over here.
Yeah.
I don't know how to flip. There we go. These are some old samples from Creative Rec.
Uh-huh.
So this was my first shoe to market. It was actually a sandal, which I never thought I would design a sandal at the time.
Uh-huh.
But this was actually my first shoe to market. It's on a Vibram.
Oh.
I don't remember the name of the sole. I think it's called the Cougar, if I'm not mistaken. But
Uh-huh.
um, it's all leather. It's got these oval rings, connecting
Yeah.
leather straps.
Yeah. It's cool. I'm so amazed how you guys collaborated with the Vibram you call it to
Yeah.
make those custom. Is it custom soles? It looks like
No, these are these
it's
are these are available in their collection.
available.
Yeah, we would have loved to do that, but it just wasn't in our budget.
Right, right,
We
right.
did this other one on another Vibram sole. I really don't
Um,
remember the name of this sole, but
that's
this
cool.
one didn't go to market.
Mm, mm,
And
cool.
then this was my first like really successful shoe.
Uh-huh.
It's called the Castucci.
Castucci.
Yeah, this is like a leather. It's like a hybrid creeper. It's got like a neoprene booty with like TPU.
Uh-huh. Like
Um,
the side piece is TPU.
yeah, this is
Yeah.
TPU, and then the heel clip's TPU, and then the front's all leather.
All
So it's
leather.
like this
Uh-huh.
dress shoe, sneaker,
Yeah.
athletic hybrid.
Uh-huh.
And then the sole, I didn't do the sole. So our designer developer at the time, Jordan Anderson, did the sole.
Uh-huh.
And then I did the upper.
Cool.
Yeah, and then I just have like a bunch of other stuff. Some of the stuff went to market, some of it hasn't,
Mm.
but there's some
Some are
other
like
concepts.
samples. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. These are some other ones.
Which one's your favorite out of all of the ones that you've designed so far?
That
That went
is
to. Mhm.
that's tough. It's always different. I mean, it was the Castucci for a while, but
I
now,
like the one right next to it too, to the right or to the
oh
left.
yeah,
Yeah, what's that one?
this one.
Yeah,
This one was called the Torella. So it's
it's like
like
a
a woven desert, or sorry, a woven duck
hiking
boot.
duck boot. Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Wow.
the idea was like duck boots were kind of popular at the time,
Yeah.
and we were getting into, like, Nike was doing Flyknit and Adidas was doing Prime Knit, and we were doing like the same kind of thing, but with weaving instead of knitting.
Mm,
So we just made like a duck boot silhouette, all knitted,
cool.
which is something we hadn't seen before that.
Yeah. Wow, wow. And
Yeah, and
then
then
mhm.
the bottom is custom as well.
Wow. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, so
Wow.
there's like a lot of stuff here.
Yeah.
We did a Chelsea boot version of the Castucci.
Yeah.
I really like this one. I mean, I still
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's relevant now too. It's still,
Yeah,
how long ago was that? That was
this
five
came out in
years ago?
2017.
17,
So we designed it in probably 2016.
16, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then,
Hmm
no, sorry, I'll let you go
Did you
ahead.
travel overseas too?
I did, yeah. So I went to China with them to the factories and everything, and we did a couple inspiration trips overseas as well.
Yeah. Nice, 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 nice. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I was wondering, like, without being on the ground, how do you do it? You know, it must be hard. Like,
It's hard now, yeah. It would be a life would be a lot easier if we could just go to China.
yeah.
But,
It's,
it's all email and Skype and stuff like that now. So
yeah. Yeah.
we're figuring it out.
Yeah. And I love your pandemic creation with Helena.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's the sneaker sculptures.
Helen
Yeah,
Kirkham. Yeah.
shout out Helen Kirkham.
Yeah.
Those workshops were always a ton of fun.
Yeah. It was just over Zoom.
She did it on Instagram Live actually, just
Oh,
like this.
Instagram Live. Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And then is it like you just like bring whatever you want to put on the shoe and let's create kind of
Yeah.
thing?
I literally just found recyclables from all over our apartment and
Uh-huh.
just threw them on the table, cut them up, and just, she
That's
like goes through a whole process of how to, like what pieces to start with,
uh-huh.
and
Oh,
then you just keep
cool.
going from there. So,
Oh, that's so cool. How long did
yeah,
it last? Like how long was like the session?
I think it was like, I was working on one of them probably like 3 hours, but I think she was only on for an hour, hour and a half. And
Oh.
then she just kind of like was like, yeah, keep going if you want. So I did.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wait, but she would finish hers in an hour?
She wouldn't even finish hers. She would just like run through the process.
Oh,
And
okay.
I mean, she might have in some of them, but the one I did, she um, just like showed you how to create like this, I guess the skeleton of it. And
Gotcha.
then
Yeah.
you just filled it in from there.
Oh,
So she
cool.
didn't
Okay.
like stay on the whole time while
Whole
everyone
time.
was,
I see, I see.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And then you kept on making. You have like so many
Yeah.
of them now.
Yeah. I need to do sketches. So the whole point is to like do the sculpture and then sketch
Oh, okay.
based on the sculpture. And I haven't done the sketches yet. So, that's something I want to do.
Yeah. I feel like you can even do it. I mean, you're such a good sketcher or designer that you can just sketch it even without making the sculpture. But I guess it's nice to have that physical thing too.
Yeah. I think the point is like, to have an alternative way to come up with ideas. Because when you just start sketching, the end result is based on how you think while you're sketching. So you think differently when you're
Right.
making. Like if you're just
Right.
like pattern making, like if I
Right.
taped up a last and drew on that, I
Yeah.
would come up with something completely different than if I sketched. Even if I
Oh.
traced the last shape and
Yeah.
sketched,
Yeah.
it's just different
It's
because you're
different.
thinking in 3D now,
Right.
more literally.
Right.
So that's the point of the sculptures is to like based on what you have in front of you, you may come up with different lines than you would just thinking in your head with no
Mm.
guardrails.
Yeah. Oh, that is really cool.
Yeah.
It's also like a good exercise, right?
Yeah,
Like
100%. Yeah.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what like making shoes also opened me up to that too. Because before I would sketch, I would rarely even tape up shoes and
Right.
draw on them. When like,
Uh-huh.
my uh the design director at Creative Rock at the time, James, he would always tape up shoes and draw on it.
Right.
But I never really did that because I don't know, maybe I was too intimidated by it or something. I didn't feel like I could come up with a good idea that way.
Mm.
But then when I started working with Shoe Surgeon, it was just like I had to have an open mind. Otherwise, I would not have been able to accomplish everything we needed to.
Yeah.
So, and then when I started shoemaking, I was like for example, like this shoe. This is one of the upcycled shoes I did. It was an old Creative Rec. So the white is like an old Creative Rec shoe, and then the
Yeah.
black leather and the blue and then the sole were all put on after.
Yeah.
So I literally took the sole off this shoe,
Yeah.
put a last in it, taped it up, and drew all these lines directly on it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I mean, I tried to sketch it before, but it just didn't work. So
Right.
I just taped on the shoe and drew all these lines.
Really cool.
And
And
then,
then yeah.
but I wouldn't have thought of it if I was just sketching. You
Right.
know what I mean? So,
Right. So
Um,
you had to see it in 3D to see if it works or not and everything. And then
yeah,
did you use a
exactly.
patcher to?
I did, yeah. So, like like these, the
Yeah,
black leather and the
yeah,
blue patent leather
yeah.
were on a post bed. I sewed that together until I had this big patch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this
Wow.
big piece of leather, and
Yeah.
then I did the patcher along the edge,
Wow,
and then
wow.
on the front
Okay.
too. It was hard when I got right here.
I bet.
Yeah, I make things really hard on myself with these projects because it's a lot of varying directions I have
Yeah,
to go in. And the
yeah,
patcher, it's just
yeah,
like like
yeah. And
it
did
just
you
like
hand,
grabs the shoe and chugs along.
right? And did you hand stitch the sidewalls?
No, so we had a sidewall stitcher that
Sidewall
I used for
stitcher?
that, yeah. And luckily, see that was the other thing. This was the first upcycled shoe I did.
Yeah.
So this was one of the first times I had done this stitch. And I
Uh-huh.
was like, why did I pick the sole for like one of the first times I did this? Because
All these
it's insane.
direction changes and
Yeah,
stuff. Wow, but you did a good job. Did you
thanks.
kind of hand crank or were you like you
Yeah, I
just
hand cranked a
redid
lot.
it?
I hand cranked a
Mm.
lot. I'm not gonna lie. I think I might have hand cranked the entire thing, actually, if I remember right.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask if in your current job, like if you have time to make samples, like I guess you don't really, you work with somebody who makes samples and
Yeah.
you have
We,
them.
I mean, our factories typically make our samples. If we're gonna do a print on the side or something like that, I might like print it out and tape it on and see how it looks. But
Right,
and I do the tape up, like if we're changing a couple patterns,
right.
I might tape up the shoe and draw the lines on
Draw the
it. But
lines.
other than
Hmm.
that, our factory is doing all
Yeah,
the samples.
right.
Um,
What's your favorite process of a shoe making or designing or coming up with a product?
hmm. I think as far as designing, it would be the sketching process
Hmm.
because there's something about like when something's an abstract idea in your head and
Yeah,
it's coming out into something you can see.
yeah,
I really enjoy that.
yeah.
I really enjoy rendering. Like once you have it, there's something
Uh-huh.
so satisfying about drawing it out properly, as properly as you can and
Yeah,
shading it and all this stuff. Like,
yeah,
that's really satisfying. Seeing the sample come back after you send the tech packs,
yeah.
I'm kind of like, I have mixed feelings about that because if it comes out great, then it's awesome. But most of the time, the first ones come out kind of
Not,
crappy,
yeah,
or like 80% there if you're
right.
lucky, So, but I remember the first few times I saw an actual shoe that I designed in person, I was like blown away.
Yeah,
But then in terms of shoe making, I
yeah.
think my favorite part is probably um, in terms of those upcycle projects, probably the pattern making part.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's,
because I would like draw on the shoe, like that would be really satisfying. And then when I'd pull the tape off and flatten it and just like start cutting out the pattern pieces and like
hmm.
adding seam allowance and stuff like that, like
Yeah,
that was, I don't know, there's something about that I really like.
yeah. I like how you use restore and like remixed rather than decon recon.
Yeah,
Deconstruct and
for me,
reconstruct.
yeah, for me it wasn't a decon recon because decon recon is like, at least the way I know it is you get a shoe, you take the sole off, you completely rebuild the upper and then put the sole back on. But what I was doing was taking an old shoe, and I have some more examples of this. This one might be easier to see, but like, this was an Air Force One.
Right.
I took everything, all
It's
of
still
this up
there.
here. Yeah, it's all the Nike. Like I didn't reconstruct the shoe.
Right.
I just found a way of putting new panels onto it and a new sole to make it look like a new thing.
Right.
It's really similar. I was really inspired by like Peterson Stoop for this
Yeah.
because they do something similar where they have their wavy welt
Yeah.
on the shoe and it
Yeah.
covers like a lot of the original shoe, but you can still see
To see the original. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And then they put the wedge soles on it. I wanted to do
Hmm.
something similar, but my design style, but and a sneaker sole.
Right. Right.
So So
Do
that's,
you
I look
wear?
at it differently than decon recon.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. Do you wear your creations? Or is it
Yeah,
all
I've
in your
worn,
size?
yeah, I always do it in my size, at least so far. I still owe my girlfriend Betsy a pair. So that one will be in her size. But
Yeah.
this is my size. I've worn these. I've worn the ones I showed you before,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I
and
like
I
that
have
one.
some more
Creative
handmade
rep.
ones here.
Ooh, I want to see.
So I've made and worn all these.
Ooh. Do you have anything you're kind of working on now? Ooh, that one's cool too.
Oh yeah,
I,
so
yeah.
this one was a unique project because it was a high top shoe.
Uh-huh.
It was probably like this tall.
Whoa.
It was like super tall,
Uh-huh.
and I cut the shaft off
Uh-huh.
and cut the
Oh.
tongue and shortened the tongue and like kind of made the tongue
Made
like
it
come out
come
onto the vamp
down.
a bit,
Yeah.
and I
Oh,
patched it on there.
wow.
Um, and then like ran the patcher on the collar to like just hold it.
Uh-huh.
Um, so that was like a conversion of like a high top to a low top.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you have a patcher at home or do you have any machines at home? No.
No, not yet. I mean, we just moved, so we have like a home studio now, which
Nice.
I'm in. So we want to start getting some like sewing
Equipment.
machines. My
Yeah.
girlfriend sews, she does apparel
Apparel.
and
Yeah, yours.
jewelry and like pretty much everything else, and then I just
Yeah.
do footwear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good
Um,
combo.
yeah, totally. So we're looking at building that out at home more so
Nice.
that I can just make some more stuff again.
What do you think is the first purchase for your machines?
It's
What do
going to
you
be a
think?
post bed.
Post
Hmm.
bed.
Yeah,
And
because I
then
think I want to like make more shoes from scratch.
okay.
So I think that would be the purchase, and
Yeah.
then second would be the patcher.
Second would be the patcher.
Hmm.
Yeah. Cool. I want to see more what you make. How like
Yeah.
I already asked you what if you wear your shoes all the time, but what
Hmm.
other brands do you like to wear?
So I mean, I wear New Republic sometimes. I wear Nike sometimes. I wear Adidas sometimes. I wear Reebok sometimes. I wear Margiela.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of going in order of what I can think of. I mean, other than that, I wear Vans, New
Yeah.
Balance.
So
I'm trying to think what's in my collection because I'm kind of blanking right now.
no, but it's good. Like I like that
Yeah.
you have diverse. Like some people are like loyal, like I just wear Nike or like I just wear,
No, yeah,
not real. Yeah.
I'm not that kind of person.
You like design, so if it's a
I
good
love,
design and you
yeah,
like it, and then you'll get it. Yeah.
exactly. I want what inspires me. So, like I have a few pairs of Margielas that are just like like so insanely inspiring to me. Um,
Which
like
ones are
some of my
they?
favorite shoes. I have some of the replica German Army trainers, and then
Uh-huh.
I have the Future Lows, and then there's like another pair that I don't even know what it's called from like 2013 or 14 with like it's like neoprene and transparent TPU and
Wait.
like rubber stitched onto the upper. Like they're insane.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen it before.
It was more like of a niche one. It
Mm,
wasn't like a huge style
run.
for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
But
Very
yeah.
cool. In the future, or actually, what do you have a mantra or motto you live by for like your design, your
Hmm.
personal, your professional life?
Yeah, I guess I mean I don't know if it's in terms of a mantra, I just like to affirm all the time that I'm grounded and present because I think you gotta be if you want to do your best at anything, you gotta be present for it.
Yeah.
You can't
Nice.
not be present
Yeah.
and do incredible
Yeah.
things. At least not that I think so. So
Right.
I live by that and I tell myself that like many times a day, every day,
Cool.
just to like bring me back to the moment.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think every time something goes wrong or I feel like I fail or something like that, I just remind myself that like it's not like it's not like a video game where like you lose all your lives and you're done and you have to start over.
Right.
Like life's like, oh, I failed. Okay. Is there something to learn here or did it just happen somehow? Like you just just like keep going,
Keep going. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Do you, if you had all the resources, this is a question I ask everybody, like,
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it'll fit, but if you have all the resources available to you and like no worries about life or how you're gonna make it or make it real, what
Hmm.
kind of shoes would you make and for who? Do you have like a
Um,
crazy design idea that you're like, this is some ultimate
uh,
design
yeah,
I'm
I have some.
keeping?
I have some. I would make. It would definitely be some like out there stuff for sure, with like a lot of components. So very technical, probably pretty expensive, just because of what what it would take to make.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of different ideas. I think if I had unlimited resources, I would definitely, um, definitely be doing a brand. But I have like a lot of different ideas, so it might be multiple brands.
Hmm.
Um,
Not under one brand.
Maybe like start with one, and then after when it grows, start others. Just
Yeah.
to like keep a focus. But
But I
um,
feel like because like you're not an all-rounded designer, but like it's all your creations. If it's under your umbrella, like you can kind of
mm,
do everything without making it separate things.
yeah,
Maybe. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, maybe it's like the same, like you said, umbrella, but different
Yeah.
brands.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't know. That's something I got to think through more.
Would you take apprentices or does the design interns for say your work or personal work?
Personal work, not right now, just because it's not like, it's not, I don't really need apprentices or
Right.
anything right now, but in the future, for sure. I mean, if anyone's listening and they're interested in that, I would say shoot me a DM for sure. I can't make any guarantees. Like
Right, of
I'm not
course.
looking for an intern right now,
Right.
but in the future,
Yeah.
definitely. And then, with New Republic, we're not hiring anyone right now,
Yeah.
but I would say again, DM me if that's something you're interested in too, because it always pays to keep in touch, and in the future
Yeah.
things could open up for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Thanks. Where do you personally and professionally want to be, like in 3 to 5 to 10 years, even?
Definitely. So, I'm really focused on New Republic right now. So growing that brand, we have a really big vision for it. So,
That's great.
I don't wanna say anything I'm not supposed to say about our
Right.
goals or anything like that.
Yeah.
But we have a huge vision for that. So
That's
definitely like
great.
growing that, growing myself as a designer as well. Maybe designing more independently in the future. Um, just kind of, I've been asked this question before, and it's really like hard to pinpoint exactly what it is, but I just want to continue to create projects that
Yeah.
are authentic to me
Yeah.
and that challenge me in different
Challenges you.
ways.
Yeah.
So as long as I keep doing that, I feel like I'm in a good flow, and that's
Yeah.
the direction I want to be going in. And then
Yeah.
obviously, like, you want some kind of growth
Yeah. I
doing
mean,
that. So
right. Your motto is be grounded and be present.
yeah,
So like you're kind of like practicing that, I guess, like, or
yeah,
you're
totally.
actually doing that. So thinking about the future, if you keep on doing what you love to do and being present and being grounded, like it'll kind of show its way,
Exactly.
maybe.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. But I mean, I think
But
a general direction is I want to do more like kind of creative direction.
hmm.
Like growing there, learning more about marketing, learning more
Yeah.
about, photo, video, graphic
Yeah.
design, like things like that, where I can like have a greater understanding of the bigger
Right.
picture. That's like a
Cool.
direction I'm going in for sure.
Cool. Cool. In mostly in footwear, yeah. But you might do
Yeah,
clothing too with your girlfriend. You're
yeah. I
saying
mean, we've
you're
talked about
open.
it, so we'll see. I definitely, yeah. I think it's like I think for me, it's like I start with one thing. I start with footwear, and it's like I'm learning footwear. I basically spent the last 9 years just learning footwear and everything about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting to hit a point where I realize like how the things I've learned there apply to other things.
Yeah.
And so now I think it's a matter of practicing different things.
Right. Right.
Because you realize that like when it comes like with creativity, it applies to everything. Like
Cool.
you can't, I don't think you can, as a designer, I was actually telling my girlfriend this yesterday. Like, people sometimes think that designers can design anything. Like, I've been asked to design things, like all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, I'm a footwear designer. Like, I don't design hoodies or whatever it was.
Yeah. Or like
Um,
pants or yeah. Mm.
yeah, but then, you can specialize in one thing, but I think it's also healthy to realize that you can apply your same creativity to different things.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's just a matter of like learning about what is that thing. Like, if it's a
Yeah.
hoodie, what what are the like what's going on in the hoodie space, and like what is a really great hoodie,
Right, right.
and what do I want to bring that
To
changes
that.
it a little bit,
Yeah.
and it's something new to the table. Like,
Right.
you can do that with different things.
Right. So you have to
Um,
experiment, I guess, but then you just need to find the time to do that too. And then
yeah, but I think that's what it is. I read a really good quote the other day that said, "It's impossible to teach a man something he thinks he already knows." So it's like, you can never know everything about anything. So you might as well always put
be,
yourself in a place of like, I don't know.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know, like, shoe design the best way I can, even though I know I've learned so much
right.
over the years.
So you can,
Um, so it's like, oh, you have to like look at everything with fresh eyes
yeah,
constantly.
yeah. That's a good spot, yeah, to be in. I feel like you're like totally enjoying what you're doing now. You love it. That's great. And now you're back in the office sometimes, or today you're at your home office.
I'm at home today,
Oh,
but yeah, we're back in the office a good bit
yeah,
these days. Not everyone. It's still very limited
right.
capacity,
But
just because.
it's on the way. I
Yeah,
feel like right now is a transition point, right? With all the vaccines and stuff.
it feels like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you're gonna create
Yeah.
next. And yeah, and maybe someday in the making space too, you're gonna be making something on the side and
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Definitely.
But I'm sure like
Definitely look
finding the
out for it.
time is actually really hard when you have like this like grand projects, you know? So
It is, but you make time, you make time
yeah, yeah,
for things,
you just do
for sure.
for what you like to do, which is good. But keep it going, and I'm looking forward to seeing the creations on Instagram. And thanks for sharing your time with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, cool. All right. Thank you. Have a
All
good
right.
one.
Yeah. Thanks,
All right.
Kiko. All right. Talk soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.